Is this the first Disney Channel original movie to feature a firearm? The first and only?
That's what I was wondering about. Like, why doesn't Captain Jake have a gun? And I'm like, oh, it's probably because it's a Disney movie.
Probably.
A Disney Channel original movie. So, like, there's just...
We're, like, thinking like adults. Like,
so there's not going to be a gun.
Yo, why is Jake not packing heat, dude? And we're like, oh, the demo
It's a DCOM.
was, like, 10-year-olds.
Riverside, motherfucker.
About to be hit by pirates.
What's poppin', Colonels in the bucket? Welcome back to another episode of Just Play It. I am your host, James.
And I'm his number one compadre, the corn dog himself. I'm Nick.
That's the corn dog man over there. Welcome back to another episode. We're doing a little bit of a mini special today.
Ooh.
So last week, we spun a magic wheel of, what was that, Nick?
Well, magic it was, because it was a list of all the Disney Channel original movies from, I believe, like early 90s to about 96.
Yeah, I think it was from the inception of Disney Channel original movies of Under Wraps all the way up to some early 2000s movies. But we landed on Horse Sense from 1999.
We sure did.
Now, Nick, you seemed a little disappointed last week. I think you were really wanting to land on Brink or The 13th Year or The Luck of the Irish, one of those kind of classic
Miracle
DCOM.
in Lane 2, you know, the real staples of the childhood.
Right. So, I mean, I've seen Horse Sense. Have you never seen this movie?
I never saw this one, no.
I wonder how you missed it.
Probably the title. That was a horse movie. I'm not a horse guy. Nothing against horses. They're fine animals, but...
I can't name one horse movie that I've seen. I never saw Seabiscuit. I think there was a movie called Black Midnight.
Black Beauty.
Black Beauty? Yeah, not Black
Oh,
Beauty.
yeah. I know Black Beauty.
Yeah, I think I've seen that,
That
actually.
was a book.
But totally forgot it. But just to kind of give you a sense of Horse Sense, essentially it is the infamous Lawrence brothers from the 90s. They were all over Disney Channel. I don't remember what channel the show Brotherly Love was on, but they had a whole sitcom together, all three of those guys. So there's Andrew, Matthew, and Joey. Joey's the oldest. Andrew is the youngest. This one features Joey and Andrew. And essentially they kind of get a taste of each other's worlds. You know, Joey lives in Beverly Hills. Andrew lives in Montana on a ranch. And we get this whole different out of your comfort zone dynamic with these two characters who are related. And then I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a sequel to this movie called Jumping Ship, which goes in a completely different direction of Horse Sense.
Yeah, had me fooled.
Nick, have you heard of Jumping Ship from 2001?
I had not.
Shockingly, this is a continuation of Horse Sense. And I say shockingly because Horse Sense is about the cousins' relationship, just building yourself as a better character. And then Jumping Ship is just like an action movie with boats and pirates and deserted islands.
Just reuse the characters.
You're telling me this is the same? Yeah, this is supposed to be the sequel? We had a thought and a little bit of a surprise treat for you guys. Not only will we be reviewing Horse Sense in this episode, but we're also going to be doing double duty and reviewing Jumping Ship, which is the sequel to Horse Sense.
Tommy and Michael thought they were going on their dream vacation. They thought wrong.
About to be hit by pirates.
Now all they want out of their trip is to survive it. The newest Disney Channel original movie is a sequel to the 1999 movie Horse Sense, Jumping Ship.
So strap in, and we are going to go fast and furious on both these movies, dive into the plots, give both scores, and talk about the legend of the Lawrence brothers.
I'm ready, bud. Let's do this.
All right, so to open up, we're going to start things out with Horse Sense, the movie that started it all in this two-movie franchise. So this movie was directed by Greg Beeman, who I assume is not a life-size bee.
We can only hope not.
But he did direct actually all the movies we name dropped: Under Wraps, Brink, and Miracle in Lane 2.
Disney loved them.
And if you're like born in the 2000s or you're not from our generation and you're saying, what is a Disney Channel original movie? I think they still make them today, but like they hit different back in the day, 90s, 2000s, when those things were first getting started. Those are like staples of childhood.
Yeah, the thing that kids growing up now will never understand was, not having a DVR and not having things on demand. It was like, 13th year is on at
8 p.m., 7 Central.
8 p.m., 7 Central here. And they never did West Coast. It was always like East Coast and Central. I was like, why those two?
And then it was still the same time on the West Coast. It was still 8 p.m. And I was thinking, like, why it? I looked into this one time. It's like an old timey like radio like scheduling thing. It's super confusing.
But yeah, you had to sit and wait for Friday night to come around so you could watch the Disney Channel original movie. So it was a big deal when these dropped.
I'll add on to that because Disney Channel original movies, I can only assume will premiere on Disney Plus these days. So you're talking about streaming. They're available at any point. As soon as they drop, watch them whenever you want. But these were like our back in the day streaming service because you didn't have to go to theaters and you didn't have to go to Blockbuster to get these new movies. They just dropped right on Disney Channel and it was sick.
It was a big deal. And everybody's seen them, right? Like it wasn't.
Well, except for you. You never saw Horse Sense, apparently.
Well, it was hard to see all of them. But, there were movies that were ubiquitous among your crowd, among your crew. It wasn't just, I randomly watched these. No, we had all seen these.
Yeah, it was the talk of the town on Monday morning. So like I touched upon, this movie does star Joey Lawrence, Andrew Lawrence, and Susan Walters.
I believe she's of TV fame from like The Young and the Restless or something.
Okay, yeah. So the only thing I recognize her from is the really bad, but kind of good, but at the end of the day, really bad iteration of MTV's Teen Wolf TV show.
Yeah, she's just like a famous TV, like floats around all over the place. Like made her whole career in TV.
It's so funny because she kind of looks like Michelle Pfeiffer's sister.
Super recognizable face, but then you look up her like IMDb and you're like, I haven't seen anything you've been in. How do I recognize you?
Can you tell me about the budget?
Yeah, so like it's not there's no box office, right? So Disney Channel original movies, like they never release the budget and there's like no return on them because they're made for TV. So
that's so
when it comes to budget, it's just like
where's the money in that?
Cable subscriptions.
Was it the commercials? Because these were
advertising
TV made for TV movies, so you did still have to sit through advertising. So maybe it's like the YouTube back in the day. It's like you got funded through ads.
Yeah, advertising spots for those movies. If you can prove that it has X amount of viewers, then you could sell those spots for more.
How about this? Can you read the log line for Horse Sense? And when we get to that bridge, I will jump the ship and read the log line for its sequel.
I'd love that. So here's the log line. Horse Sense. After treating his rancher cousin shoddily in L.A., Michael Woods is sentenced by his parents to spend a month on the ranch with his cousin and aunt.
All right. Well, hey, why don't you say, let's watch a Disney Channel movie and jump into plot talk?
Let's do it, buddy.
Plot talk.
Right off the bat, we are introduced to our main character, Michael Woods. So this is our Joey Lawrence. We just kind of get a sense of who he is. So he lives in Beverly Hills. His dad's a lawyer. He drives, nice car. Back when like cell phones were big, he had his own cell phone, earpiece, had a car phone. He's dating this new girl. Is he a college kid? Is that?
I just want to say we've been watching a lot of movies with car phones lately. But yes, I believe he is in college. I think they say he's 20 years old.
Well, that's what I was wondering at first. I was like, is this a high schooler? Because that's a tough sell.
Well, we actually, I think it does open up at the ranch first. So initially, we actually meet 11-year-old Tommy Biggs, who is Andrew Lawrence. And it opens up with him. I don't know if he's finishing his gift for Michael, but essentially he whittles a whistle. He whittles a whistle for Michael. And he's so excited to go to California. He lives in Montana and he is just over the moon to leave the ranch, not so he can get out of working for his mom because he's got a good work ethic for a little child.
The work ethic.
Yeah. He's like, are you sure you don't need me to stay? I know you need help. But the mom's like, nope, go to California, go see your cousin, go to Disneyland, see all the fun stuff, have a great time. And then we're thrown into California and we meet Michael Woods, and you can see he's a little bit of a slacker, kind of sleeps in.
A little bit.
Pretty boy, likes to get nice clothes and flashy things. So you can see the difference between these cousins immediately.
Yeah, we got city boy, ranch boy. You're like, wow, Disney, you just set up a dichotomy, and I can't wait to see the worlds collide.
Talk about the dads real quick. Tommy's dad is super dead.
Very dead.
Hey, Denise, have I ever showed you a picture of my dead dad?
No?
Oh, you've got to see it. He's super dead.
If you want to see a picture of his dead dad, you'll have to wait till the sequel because he does get a framed picture of that. But actually, Michael's dad is Calabar from Halloween Town.
He is.
This is Robin Thomas. So he is Michael Wood's dad, and he's kind of like the main driving, almost like Big Fat Liar. He's like the driving force behind Michael to really kind of whip him in the shape. And of course, the mom is always there in the background, as they should be. Just background actors.
As they should be.
Where they belong.
Moms.
Am I right, fellas?
Ayo.
All right, let's see if my wife will take that seriously or not.
Michael gets reminded that his little cousin's coming to town. He has to pick him up from the airport. He's like, yeah, not a problem. That works. After class, right? He's in college. He goes to class. He sits in class. He gets his paper back. He's sitting next to his girlfriend, and he gets a D. They leave class, and him and his girlfriend are talking. She buys him a nice, expensive watch for their, was it 2-week anniversary?
This was a thing in high school. Everyone always said, it's our 1 month anniversary. And you're always thinking, anniversary means year, right?
No. Yeah. Weeks, months. You just celebrate like the littlest milestones.
He gets the watch, and he sees he's hella late to pick up his cousin. So right off the bat, this starts essentially a slow-paced montage of Michael neglecting his cousin and being an excuse generator.
Yeah, very flaky, not committed, leaves his cousin home while he goes out with the girlfriend.
This really bummed me out. It was really hard to watch.
It was sad.
Michael's just being a piece of shit.
Yeah, but the one thing I'll say for Michael is he has good intentions. He just has no responsibility, no sense of
time management,
prioritization of the social life. Like, they get to the end of the montage, and their housekeeper / maid is like, he's leaving tomorrow. You haven't done anything. And Michael's like, he's leaving tomorrow. It's like, dude, it's been a week. What are you talking about? Like, how do you lose this much track of time?
I do want to say something. He does stick Tommy in front of the very large TV most of the time, gives him a bunch of movies to watch. And I don't know if you had to have caught it, but Brink was playing on the screen. Did you see that?
Yes, I did see that.
It's like Pixar when they throw in Pizza Planet and like Finding Nemo, they're like, haha, making little in-world references to each other. So at the very end of the big neglect of Tommy of 1999.
Tommy at this point is like blowing off Michael, like walks by him in the kitchen, doesn't even say hi. He's fed up.
He's been hanging out with the maid. He's been hanging out with the housekeeper this whole time, having a great time with her. He's like, okay, I got to go to Disneyland. Here we go. Let's do it. And then, of course, they're in the car. He gets a call from the girlfriend, and she says, my dad's in town for like 3 hours. I really need you to meet him. So what does Michael Woods do? Frickin' drops off Tommy at like some sort of Discovery Zone type kiddie place and says, I'll be back. And he goes to the racetrack and completely abandons Tommy.
Yeah, the horse races. And he has this like weird gift for picking horses that's never explained again.
I think it's just dumb luck. He realizes once again he is late to go pick up Tommy. And this is where it really just puts the stamp exclamation point that Michael Woods is a complete tool. Because he gets in his Porsche, he guns it backwards and smashes into some lady's car, says, oh, like, I'm so sorry. It was in my blind spot. She's like, you're in a convertible, dude. Like, what the hell? You didn't see me? You didn't even look. And then doubles down, excuse generator coming out, says, sorry, there's a family emergency. I'm not sure if everyone's going to be okay. I hope everything's going to be all right. Here's my information. And later on, we learn he gives this lady bogus information, and he plays it off like he was forgetful. So you're thinking, Michael Woods, you're a douchebag.
You're a bitch. So Tommy returns to Montana, and during dinner at the Woods household, Michael's mom, JC, says I got a call from your aunt, and she told me that you neglected him the whole time. The cops show up, and they're like, hey, like the lady wrote down his license plate. Like, we're here to investigate. It's a hit and run. So Michael's in deep doo-doo. And his parents are like, you know what? You're going to have to go and work. You're going to the ranch. Like, that's what you're doing. You're going to go, you're going to apologize to your cousin, and you're going to spend a month out on the ranch learning how they live life, not being pampered here in Southern California. And if we get a negative review from you, you don't get to go on this upcoming trip to the French Riviera with his girlfriend. So that's the carrot right in front of him. Be good, or you're not going on your vacation. And Michael has no choice but to acquiesce.
Can we just appreciate that we're seeing parents take proper action after watching movies like My Brother the Pig and Big Fat Liar?
Yes.
Those movies had terrible parents. They were just like, he's fine. He's doing his thing. And they wait until it's like, too late.
But I don't give him that much credit. Because you clearly raised this sack of shit. And you're letting him live in your home at 20 years old, sleep in till noon. You bought him a car. He has a trust fund. Like, you're their enablers.
Yeah.
And then they're surprised when he does something like this. Like, don't be surprised. You've enabled this behavior. Of course.
Well, I guess I'm happy to see some sort of punishment. So his punishment is going to Montana. So we're going to fly out to Montana. And of course, Michael's going to do it in style and look hella good doing it. He's wearing fancy ass clothes and fancy Italian leather boots, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So at the airport, they do drop in Matthew Lawrence, a little small cameo. Just going to leave that there. And then when we talk about jumping ship, got a whole theory about it.
Okay. So they arrive at the ranch. Michael ends up meeting, his Aunt Jules, Suzanne Walters, and then two ranch hands, Twister and Mule. Twister is a general problem. Like, he's like the stereotypical, I'm the ranch hand. I actually recognize this guy from a few movies. He was in Con Air, and he was Sheriff Roscoe in Dukes of Hazzard with Sean William Scott and
The remake?
Johnny Knoxville. Yeah, the remake.
He was also in Wild Hogs.
Yes.
I believe I recognize him from, I don't know if it was Lost or like The Walking Dead or something like that, but I want to say, oh yeah, he was in Lost. So this is MC Gainey, and he's the tall, big, mustached, I don't care for bullshit. I'm just here to work hard, and I ain't got time for sissy little rubber mutter pants.
He mentions city boys a lot. City living. He's very close with Tommy. And so he mentions to Michael, oh, you're everything Tommy said you were. Oh, you pissed off Tommy when he was in LA. I already hate you.
You's a bitch.
He makes fun of his boots, and Michael's like, oh, they're Italian leather. He's like, what does that mean? He's like, it means they're expensive. He just looks, he goes, round here, boots are boots. It's just like, yo, what a line.
He's unhinged, and he doesn't like Michael. Here's where Tommy gets to exact some revenge on Michael. He's being real passive-aggressive, cutesy, like, oh, hey, if you want to have this, just help yourself. Oh, you want to watch TV? You can stay up all night. And then, of course, he knows that everybody needs to wake up at 4:30 to get to work. Mm-hmm. Now, I have a question.
Yeah.
There's a whole plot point about this ranch financially failing. So what do they do? What do they produce?
I was actually had the same question. I would I don't see them milking the cows. I don't see them slaughtering the cows.
No, don't they milk? Or no? Am I just thinking? Just making that up.
I don't know. It was never their chief export was never described in the film. It's just a ranch.
They never disclosed their business. So as far as we know, it could be an Ozark situation where they're just growing an ingredient for heroin or meth, whatever the hell they're
knowing Twister. Yeah, they probably have like a poppy field out there, and they're selling opiates.
Dude, we need an Ozark horse sense crossover now, please.
So the next morning, Michael has stayed up watching TV all night, and then he just gets put to work. And the tasks, like they keep giving him tasks that they know he's going to fail at or sabotage it, right? Give him like very loose instructions for him to fuck it up. And I expect this out of an 11-year-old Tommy because he's vindictive. But what are these ranch hands doing going along with an 11-year-old? It's like Free Willy all over again. Like, hey, let's fuck with my cousin. And Twister's like, all right. Like, sure.
I mean,
why
I buy
not,
it,
buddy?
I buy it because they love Tommy and Michael sucks.
Yeah, but at a certain point, when you like look at the 11-year-old and be like, all right, you're 11, your judgment's a little, like maybe you're exaggerating. Let's no, just right off the bat, it's like
These are ranch people. They're on a financially failing ranch. Their lives suck. They do hard work. They wake up at the butt crack of dawn. The only thing they got going for them for entertainment is messing with this city slicker.
Yeah, it's messed up, and it really comes to a head in a scene where they give Michael an assignment that is quite dangerous. He has to guard the herd of cows from wolves. And so they're like, you take first watch by yourself. Like you're going to sit out there, watch the cows. Don't spook them. They spook real easily, and then watch out for wolves. And he's like, okay. So they throw him out in the field, and he has his cell phone. So he calls his girlfriend, and they're talking. And she went from like just entitled brat to like total bitch in this scene.
Oh yeah.
Because he's like, oh, I'm looking up at the stars. Look at the shooting stars. And she's like, don't go all soft on me now.
Yeah, it's that third week, man. Their true colors really come out. So you got to watch out.
She hangs up on him. Then she calls him back. And when the phone rings, it spooks the cattle. And there's just a stampede. And he's caught up in a stampede. They break down a bunch of fences. And now everybody's like, yeah, Michael, what's your problem? Like, what are you kidding me? It's like, why'd you leave him out here? Why'd you leave? Like you clearly left him out here to fuck up. Now you're mad that the fences are broken. Like, what's wrong with you people?
I mean, they already operate with 4 people already. So don't change the schedule to 5 people shifts. Just put him on like a little trainee shadow shift. Have him go out there with Mule the first shift.
Yeah.
You know?
But instead, they're like putting the ranch at jeopardy to mess with this guy. It's pretty irresponsible.
And amongst these tasks that they give him, they do give him a manure shoveling task.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you caught this Jurassic Park reference, but I did. It's when he walks up to the big ass pile of manure and he says, that's one big pile of manure, as opposed to Jeff Goldblum's famous,
that is one big pile of shit.
I think there's a subtle Jurassic Park reference in Jumping Ship. So I'll shout that out when we get there.
Okay. Excited for that.
Next comes...
There's another task.
Yeah. So he's like, hey, load all these poles in the truck, and says, keys are in the ignition, pull it around if you want to bring it closer. And there's this broken ass down truck right next to the pile of poles. And Michael's like, think I can handle it. And then of course, this is another passive aggressive move by Tommy, because he doesn't disclose that it needs to go into a truck that actually runs, which is located behind the barn. He loads all these poles to fix the fence into the wrong truck. So then this is when he comes up and he drives over to Tommy, snaps, loses it. He's like, I'm done with you. Like, this is where they hit like their true first breaking point.
Yeah, it's the all is lost moment.
And then followed by this is actually, would you call it a heart to heart? It's with Twister and Michael. They have a little moment where Twister kind of gives them like the you've never been challenged in anything in your life talk. And then 6 movie minutes later, Michael apologizes to Tommy. It's not the fix, but it is a bandage on the relationship.
And this is where Twister tells Michael that the ranch they're going to lose the ranch because of financials. And Michael's like, why wouldn't anybody tell me? And they're like, because you're too lazy to understand. It's like, I don't know. I feel like you could get it. I feel like that's
I think it's like he's too self-centered to care. So everybody already knows this. This is not news to the family. Michael's parents know this. People on the ranch know this. The bank knows this. The horses probably know it. Everybody knows it, but Michael. And Tommy then explains the whole financial situation to Michael.
Yeah.
Michael, next scene, immediately pitches a pyramid scheme to Twister.
And Twister's like
he's like, what the hell?
Yeah, like, what are you talking about? People around here don't like scams. So we really thought Michael was like, oh, wow, these people value hard work, and maybe I should take up some hard work to help out. And like, nope, he's immediately back to his get rich quick schemes, lazy attitude towards it. So you're like, I guess he didn't quite learn his lesson there, but okay. But he is starting to really come around, right? He's helping out at the ranch. He's doing things. He's becoming more adept at helping out and the daily tasks. And he's starting to enjoy himself. He's like, oh, wow, yeah, I could see why people like this lifestyle. I don't hate this ranch anymore.
In this montage, I think he hops on Black Lightning, which is
like an untamable horse.
Because earlier in the movie, he wants to ride, or when they say, hey, we're going to ride horses, he's going to be given this kind of lame looking one that almost looks sick. And he's like, I want that sick ass black one. And then Tommy's like, all right. And then he tries to ride him. And then it's like a rodeo all of a sudden. So in this montage, this redemption montage, like, hey, I'm going to get up early before everybody else. I'm going to go out there by myself and start fixing the fence. Michael's wearing like a Vin Diesel size white tank top, just like really hugging the torso. It's like, all right, I get it, Joey Lawrence, you work out. And he rides Black Lightning out to just around the ranch, just to kind of get more acquainted with the horse that he had a bad run in. So
yeah, there's this half-finished treehouse that Tommy and his dad were going to finish. And obviously Tommy's dad died. And so like we keep seeing these scenes where Tommy's up there trying to finish it himself. He has a 2x6 propped up. And, you have the long side of the 2x6 and the short side, right? So it's, it's oblong shaped. And he's just smacking this nail into the piece of wood, like long ways. It's like a 3.5-inch nail going into like 5.5 inches of wood. And it's like, what is that? What are you doing?
So you sound like the son of a contractor.
I'm just sitting there. I'm like, that will not like that accomplish. What do you, this does nothing. He's just sitting there like, dang, dang, dang. It's like,
Tommy doesn't have a dad, lay off.
So his mom just lets him sit up there and whack nails into pieces of wood all day?
Yeah, keep the kid busy.
After Michael comes around, he decides when Tommy and his aunt are out, doing stuff in town,
well, they're doing important stuff. They're going to the bank to see if they can get an extension on their ranch not being foreclosed.
Yes. So kick the can down the road a little bit.
Not fun errand that they're on, but Michael's like, I'm going to do the right thing and finish this treehouse.
So he does. He finishes this treehouse right as they're coming home, and they get home, and Tommy freaks out, loses it, just has a meltdown. He was like, no, me and my dad were supposed to finish this. This was me and my dad's project. This is, Mom's not consoling him. He runs up to the treehouse and starts like trying to rip apart what Michael has done. And Michael's just like, I'm sorry. And like walks away. This kid's melting down. Mom's just staring. And I'm like as soon as you took like 2 steps forward with Michael, it's like 3 steps back.
So this is our very dramatic breaking point here.
But we get to mend the fence again with these two when one of the wild horses on the property gets stuck in the mud. And Michael almost like pulls him out by himself. I couldn't really tell the whole, like, who was pulling what.
Well, back-to-back weeks, we got horses in peril. We had a horse died of quicksand last week in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And now we got a horse stuck in the mud.
We do. Horses getting stuck. New theme. Mark it.
This horse is actually named Tommy Boy. And we learned that his dad named him that, of course, after Tommy. They've named all the horses together. There's a scene with Michael and Tommy looking at all the wild horses, and Tommy says all their names, and Michael shockingly remembers all of them. But they do have this tag team moment. They mend the relationship when they do save this horse from the mud. Michael, I guess, was like on the ground trying to yank the horse out by the rope, and then Tommy was like on the good horse, kind of like, towing a car out of a ditch. It was like towing the horse out of the ditch with another horse. Did you kind of get lost in the sauce in this like slow editing montage?
It was supposed to be really dramatic, and at no point for me was this scene dramatic.
I was like, if you put like a slow saxophone over this looks like a sexy horse massage in the mud.
So weird.
I was like looking around. I was like, is anybody else watching this? Should I be getting turned on?
Speaking of getting turned on, not to do this, did you feel like there was this weird sexual tension between Michael and his aunt?
Yes.
At certain points, they were like sitting outside. They're like, beautiful sunset tonight, huh? I was just like, is he going to bang his aunt?
It's happening. Avert your eyes.
Weird tension.
I mean, she's lonely.
But they save this horse and they return and they're like, you got to get ready to get on your plane to Los Angeles. You got to shower. And they're driving off. He's going to return to Los Angeles. Tommy does finally chase them down on a horse and gives him his wooden whittled whistle that he wanted to give him from the beginning.
So him gifting the whistle to Michael is Tommy's sign of his respect has been restored for Michael. Because during one of the breaking scenes, he says, everything I ever liked or respected about you, like, forget about it. Or I don't even like you. I don't respect you. He's like, yeah, it's been a whole ruse. I should have met my hero. Because they met one time at a family reunion.
Like 3 or 4 years ago. We don't know how long ago, but
yeah. And then
they
had a good time together. So Tommy was like, I love this guy. And then he turns out Michael sucks. So him gifting the whistle was the symbolic, I forgive you, and I now respect you, officially.
Mm-hmm.
Jump back to the racetrack, actually, the horse races.
His girlfriend's dad bought a racehorse, and he's watching the horses race, and there's like this overlay of him imagining the horses running out in the field, and he's like, the horse races are the worst, because him and Tommy had this conversation before about, horse races. And afterwards, the horse that the family owns like freaks out, and Michael runs up and he calms it down, and everybody's like, oh, like maybe this is where horse sense came from. Maybe he's like a horse whisperer. I'm like, is this why he can
like the sixth sense, but it's the horse sense?
Yeah, maybe this is why he was able to pick the horses at the beginning, the right horses.
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah, see, this is where I was.
Spidey sense.
I was expecting it to take this twist that, like, all of a sudden he has this special ability to connect with horses.
What if the racehorse like started talking to him like 3/4 of the way in the movie? You're like, you could talk. It's like, no, Michael, you are just the only one who can understand us.
Well, I don't even want to say 2/3 of the way through the movie, because at this point in the movie we have about 20 minutes left, and I'm like, there has to be some sort of resolution into this movie, because I'm about an hour and 10 minutes in, and like I'm like, this thing needs to wrap up quick.
It's paced pretty weird. Maybe the sixth sense is the horse sense.
That's what I'm thinking, because otherwise the title honestly doesn't make a lot of sense to me. No horse sense at all to me. Michael breaks up with his girlfriend Gina because she's just a raging bitch. And he dips into his trust fund so that he can go and give the money to his aunt to save the ranch. Now, he talked to his dad about this, and his dad was like, she will not take the money. I offered her money. I've offered her a loan that she could pay back.
That's the first question that arises with audiences. Like, okay,
yeah. Why didn't rich family help out?
Yeah, one sister lives in Montana on a failing ranch, and the other one lives in Beverly Hills and is living a rich and famous life. Why doesn't the rich family give money to the poor family? So the quick answer is all about pride.
Which is a terrible reason, in my opinion. So he tries to give the money to his aunt, and she rejects Michael's offer and suggests that, it's just time for them to move on. They're going to go live in a trailer with somebody else, and it's like, okay, that's all right.
Sounds awful.
On the day of the auction, he's still there. He's helping them set up, all of their possessions for the auction. I hate this. On the day of the auction, Michael's like comes up with an idea, and so he rushes to the bank. And this idiot who's failing college all of a sudden explains the financial incentives to a banker about creating a land trust. And the banker's like, I've never thought about that. You're like,
well, shoot, you and your big city slicker brain done thunk that up.
Dude, that's exactly what it was. It's like, oh, city boy who went to college, actually, now he's bringing something to the table. It's like the guy who got a D. Calls his dad, and he's like, Dad, I need you to read me the paper. And the dad's like, you got a D on it. He's like, flip to page 7. And his dad's like, there's only 4 pages. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're watching this, and you're like, okay, I guess it's like Infinity War. It's going to end on a bummer note.
Yeah.
But then, he just immediately, and this whole movie, they've been talking about how you can't fix problems with a quick fix.
And what happens?
What happens at the very end? Quick fix. Boom, baby. They say that the bank will own the property. There's a lot of ranches that are financially failing, and none of them have sold in the area. No one's buying ranches. So essentially Michael, like a genius out of nowhere, explains to the dumbass person who does this for a living that, hey, like, why don't you let them live on the ranch, and they don't own it, but they can live there, they can work on it, and you pay them to be there because they qualify for a land trust because they have wild horses that technically kind of live off their land. So they're protected species. So there's a whole thing there. And the day is immediately saved. And, Jules is happy because she doesn't feel like she's taken to charity. We do learn the real reason. She does say I don't want to say that she gives up, but essentially she just says, this thing is not working. I don't want to ask for money to keep it being like a money pit. This isn't the curse of Oak Island. I want to just, let it go. I feel like I'm holding on to this thing because of my husband that passed away. So I need to let go of him. And if I let go of the ranch, then I can just finally let go. So that made sense.
Nope, you're stuck with it now. Thanks to Michael. She could have moved on. I like how she was finally like, I finally accept it. It's a good thing for me to let it go. And Michael's like, not so fast.
Psych!
So Michael just becomes an all-star real estate expert, successfully negotiates the terms with the bank. And then Michael's like, you got to promise me something. She's like, what? Like, you'd let me stick around for a while. And she's like, as long as you want. And Tommy and Michael, like you had mentioned, finish the treehouse and Finn.
Now you're thinking, hey, this sequel has got to be picking up on maybe like some cowboy bandits coming in and trying to hunt down the wild horses. Maybe there's some poachers out there. Maybe Michael learns a lesson and does go to school and works his way up to be a lawyer like he wanted to. Or they can go on a sick-ass action movie vacation in Australia.
On a boat with pirates.
You sank our boat. We're going to search every single one of these islands and feed him to the sharks. We are getting off this island.
So we're jumping in to Jumping Ship. This is the sequel. Now, this movie was directed by Michael Lange.
Yeah, he didn't do much. A lot of one-episode TV directing jobs.
Michael Lange. And yeah, this is not a completely different movie. This is a continuation of the Michael Woods, Tommy Big storyline, where they essentially take a vacation and run into pirates. It has nothing to do with horses, has nothing to do with Aunt Jules.
Not a horse at all.
They recast the dad. Calabar's gone. I assume because Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge, was coming out that same year in 2001. So he was probably hella busy.
Busy being Calabar.
That Calabar life be busy. So I'm going to go ahead and read this log line for 2001's Jumping Ship, the sequel to Horse Sense.
The sequel to Horse Sense.
Michael has big plans to show his cousin Tommy a good time aboard a luxury yacht until he discovers that the one he chartered is actually an old rusted fishing boat, period. But when modern day pirates chase it, they are forced to jump ship, leaving them stranded on a desert island. Is it desert? It should be deserted. I mean, this logline says desert, but it's a tropical island. It's not a desert island.
I didn't write the log line, James.
I know. I'm just asking. Stranded on a desert island with the captain, Jake Hunter.
Love the names. Michael Woods, Tommy Biggs, Jake Hunter. It's just all American. You got to just love the Disney Channel original movie.
Brian Fantana.
Champ Kind. Brian Fantana.
No, you're brick.
If you read that log line and said, how is this related? Buckle up. James's Plot Talk Part 2.
Plot Talk. Again, double feature, baby.
So like James said, we open up and Michael and Tommy, they're planning their vacay, right? Michael's on the phone with Tommy. He's like, oh, are you excited for this? We're chartering a boat and it's going to be great. Like, can't wait to see you. So we're like, oh, they're still buds. Like, they're still close. I don't know how old they each are at this point in the game. It's two real people years.
I think it's literally 2 years because I do believe he says he's 20 in Horse Sense and then he says he's 22 in Jumping Ship.
Okay, so the 22-year-old is taking his 13-year-old cousin on this to Paradise Island. I don't know what they're going to get into. Me, if I was of drinking age, would not bring a 13-year-old cousin, but...
Yeah, there's a lot of soda that's ordered in these movies.
A lot of soda.
It's like, hey, we're going to get a soda. Hey, get us a couple sodas there, pal.
We're going to get a pop.
There is a whole stepdad situation. We do get a stepdad trope on the ranch.
Yes.
Tommy, that's his conflict for the movie. He's not down with the stepdad coming in and trying to take his dad's place.
Yeah, but it's a really weird one because the guy at no point tries to take his dad's place. He's just
Well, that's the trope. That's the trope. They never do. They're just there to support. They're just there to be. Parents are regular people. They break up or you lose somebody, and they date new people. So that they're just filling their needs. And Tommy's like, no, not on my watch. You will not bang my mom. Damn it.
But I'm going to go on vacation and leave you alone with her.
So have at it.
For a couple weeks. Go to town. Now, we'd like to believe that Michael has learned his lesson about hard work, but as James says, he finished the last movie with a quick fix, and he's still just a giant piece of shit. So
He'd be quick fix in this movie too.
Yeah, he's still using his dad's credit card to book all of these vacations. Doesn't have a job. His dad wants him to get a job. And he's like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't have any passion. And Michael's dad's like, I'll get you a job at my law firm. Just show up every day. That's all I'm asking of you.
In my notes, I wrote, Michael is back on his bullshit, running up the credit card bill, jobless, putting girls as a priority before
Family.
Yeah. So he
learned no
we
lesson.
just did a whole reset. We did a whole reset back into the beginning of Horse Sense.
Maybe this is like an alternate timeline.
This is where I call his dad an enabler. Maybe this is an alternate timeline. No, because they referenced the first movie a few times. And so it's time for the summer vacation. They're like, Michael's big plan is to show Tommy a good time aboard this luxury yacht called the Tiffany. And at first they think it's this really high-end yacht with this like butler on board. But it's like, no, of course not, because why would it be? And turns out it's this old rusty fishing boat run by their real life brother. And this is Captain Jake Hunter. Now they get off on the wrong foot immediately. I don't necessarily blame Michael because he pretty much got catfished into this luxury yacht. So I'd be pretty pissed too.
So he found it on the internet. Apparently he didn't do that much research.
Internet was the Wild West back then, so I buy it.
He does get clocked by one of these, what we'll learn later is a modern day pirate. And she's like playing like the, I don't think femme fatale is like the correct word to describe it, but just like the hot girl that's kind of like flirting with him, passing by, but she just picks his pocket, takes his wallet, takes all the cash, takes the credit cards, take his driver's license, and brings it back to her pirate crew. This rich boy who pulls up in a limousine and matching suits with his little cousin is on their radar. So they're like, we got our target. This is our mark. We're getting set up with our conflicts. Tommy is not accepting his stepdad. Michael is a lazy bones. And we got this other thing brewing in the background. Pirates.
And they're like, we need to abduct this kid because he's clearly rich.
Things escalated real quick from Horse Sense.
So they're on the boat, and what we notice is Tommy, being the likable kid, is getting along with this Captain Jack, and there is definite tension between Michael and Jack. And so there's this we find out Jack's dad is quote unquote gone, but he doesn't say dead, but we're all like, okay, dead dad.
Super dead.
Super dead dad. They found this treasure once.
This is where I was all in. Back in the day, I was all in. I was all in at this point. I was like, yes, treasure movie. Let's go. If you're going to abandon the stupid, lame horses, give me that treasure hunting story, baby.
Well, we don't get treasure, but we do get the pirates who come and just launch a full-scale attack onto the boat.
Yeah.
Jack does a pretty good job fighting them off. I was sitting there like, man, if I just was on a boat by myself, like driving around, I'd have a weapon of some sort.
Exactly my thoughts. I was watching this and thinking, if Jake knows about these pirates so much and knows their reputation and knows...
Sorry, I keep saying Jack. It's Jake. I think I said Jack a few times. I'm thinking back to Boy Meets World, and it's Jake in this movie.
I have a whole crazy theory, so you just wait.
Okay. I'm here.
Yeah. So Jake Hunter, Matthew Lawrence, he says, hey, we're about to be taken by pirates. I'm going to drop you off at this island, and I'm going to try to outrun them because these guys don't take prisoners. And so if he knows this, I'm thinking, why don't you pack a gun, dude? Maybe it's illegal to own a gun in Australia if you're like an American citizen, because just Jake's obviously American. He's not Australian.
He's from Seattle.
Does he say that?
That's what they say. Yeah. Well, after his mom left, his dad moved down from Seattle with him. That was definitely mentioned. They're from Seattle.
Noted. So yeah, he's super American. So I don't know the firearm laws in Australia, especially if you are maybe here on a visa. So probably super illegal. But still, you can have like a harpoon or like some sort of projectile weapon that's used for fishing.
I'd argue you might be out in international waters. So
there you go. Pack a heavy sniper.
Or a like you said, harpoon. Heck, a few flare guns. Just pop them with some flare guns or something. I don't know.
Is it illegal to pin grenades and throw them at other boats in international waters?
If it is, I don't know what we're doing as a society.
Because that would have taken care of that little inflatable raft real quick. Because the pirates...
He does use the hook on the inflatable raft.
Right, but I'm saying he could have used a grenade, and that would have been way more effective.
Oh, grenades usually are, yeah. Than hooks. Big time.
So can you give me your general thoughts on this pirate crew?
They don't look very capable.
They look kind of lame, right?
They're like quote unquote modern day pirates, but it's a bunch of like white Australians.
Oh no, it's not white Australians. They've made a point to make them very eclectic. So there's an Asian male who's the lead. There's a kind of surfer blonde white guy dude. He's kind of like the
Dante. Is his
He's
name.
not even like the muscle. He's just kind of like the tall guy and the grunt of the group. And then there's the attractive, racially ambiguous girl, olive skin. So, it's like, okay, multi-ethnic pirate trio. Not quite the thieves in Home Alone. They're not that goofy, but it's kind of like...
They don't look that professional to be
they don't
like...
look that intimidating.
They're like clearly well-known pirates. They're like, oh, the pirates are mentioned. Like these...
They're at the docks. They're just docking up with all the other civilians this is where they also see Michael and Tommy again when they board the Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say they do make a music change for Jumping Ship. So obviously Horse Sense, you got a lot of country twang guitars. Whenever the pirates come on screen, there's a electric guitar riff. It's like, like, oh no, about to get my lunch money taken.
The other deal that goes on with the music is when it's not an action scene, but it's just like an island scene. There's a lot of like steel drums, almost like Jamaican, like tropical feel. And I'm like, this is Australia, guys.
Yeah.
We don't have to do this.
Where's the didgeridoos?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, that was a didgeridoo.
Boom. Roasted.
And you know what is funny? The Horse Sense music, the main theme, it kind of had the same riff as The Lion King. And I started singing the Lion King song. I Can't Wait to Be King. Just I always get, hold on.
It's very close to Under the Sea.
This is exactly
it's very close
this is
to Under the
exactly
Sea.
where I'm going with this. So I always fall into Little Mermaid. So I Can't Wait to Be King is
Yeah, there you go.
And then Under the Sea is Lion King is
very.
Wait, is that?
Yeah, you were there. You had it.
Okay.
Got to commit to it.
Those were very similar, but actually, if you go back and listen to the Horse Sense main score, it does kind of sound like that. So I'm like, 3 times they copied their own, they plagiarized their own music.
Just different instruments. Yeah, Captain Jake drops the boys off on an island, and he's like, I'll try to lose them. I'll come back for you. It turns out he has to scuttle the boat, so he has to sink his own boat to get away.
Minute 32, 39 seconds. They do the thing. They jump ship.
They do. They finally jump ship.
Can I just say a very generic quote from the bad guy? And they're coming up on the speedboat, and the main bad guy says,
I can already smell the money.
Couldn't write anything better than that. Like, generic bad guy is bad. I get it.
Not just that, your plan's in shambles. You're on like plan C now. Like, your guy got thrown off the boat, the raft got it's like you're not that close.
Not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy.
I don't know why you just didn't go after him with the big boat to start. The boys are on the island. They're trying to, make shelter on the beach. Doesn't work. You could really see how inept Michael is at doing anything like strenuous.
Is he a
trying to
narcoleptic?
survive.
Because when they jump ship, it's like middle of the day, and then they swim to the island, and then they show a image of a sunset, and then Michael wakes up on the shore like the next morning. So it's like, did he just, because it didn't seem like it was a far swim. They painted the picture like they were swimming for 6 to 7 hours until the sun went down. And then maybe they
he
just
like
passed
washed
out
up on the beach, passed out. Yeah, that's what it made it seem like.
It must have only taken no more than 30 minutes to swim to shore, maybe an hour. But then you have to have quite the endurance to do that. But does he just like fall asleep immediately on the shore and then wake up the next day?
I would guess so. That's what it made it seem like. In the meantime, Tommy made it there, and this kid's made a point to say he's never seen the ocean. We learned that in Horse Sense. So I don't know how he's such a good swimmer. in the ocean.
He's too busy on the ranch, dude.
So they're trying to struggle around, find food, getting spooked by stuff on the island. Eventually, Jake meets back up with them. He's like, "Oh yeah, had to scuttle the boat." Like again, Michael's learned nothing.
Michael's pissed.
Michael's pissed because Jake's wearing one of his shirts. And he's like, "Yeah, your luggage washed ashore." And Michael's like, "That's a $400 shirt." It's like, you're marooned on an island, my friend. This is not what you should be worried about. What are we doing?
Again, Michael's back on his bullshit, and he's still a piece of shit.
He truly is. Now, at this point in the game, and let me tell you where I think the movie should have gone. It doesn't go this way. I thought that Jake should have been mistaken for Michael. Because they do basically what they did with the gyro captain. So you have this guy who looks exactly the same as him because they're real life brothers. And it's just never brought up in the movie. Like, wow, you guys look extremely similar. It's like, oh yeah, there's just three brothers standing here. And one of them is just supposed to be not related to the other two.
Matthew and Joey look very similar.
So similar. Where I'm like, he's just you with longer hair.
So you're thinking they're going to pull a switcheroo on us.
Yeah, I was like that because all they did was they had his license. So they're going off of Michael's license, and you're like, well, you could, no, it doesn't happen.
And then it'd be a whole thing of like, oh, do we go save Jake? Like Tommy would be like, do we go save Jake because he's a good guy, and it's not his fault that they think he's you. And then Michael would be like, no, I don't want to go save him. So they could have did that, but
yeah.
Instead, we're stranded on an island. Michael's not having it. Jake Hunter essentially has been lost at sea many times because he's a very good survivalist. He can build sturdy shelter. He can hunt for fish, lobster, harvest fruit, know how to get clean water on this deserted island in the middle of the ocean. And Tommy, we mentioned how he grew to like Jake, and that's because not hard to narrow down, but they're both just decent human beings. They both just kind of get it. They're just like, yeah, like, let's whatever
both
works.
Their dads are dead.
They both got dead dads. They're both down for the cause. And they're just like, yeah, I mean, we got to do what we got to do. And then Michael's just being a little bitch boy about it.
Mm-hmm.
So he storms off and they separate for a little bit.
And at this point, we get the little heart to heart between Tommy and Jake, where like Jake admits to him, he's like, when I said my dad just wasn't around, he's actually dead. They have this like really awkward, like heart to heart. And Tommy's like, I understand. It's hard to say. They talk about the stepdad, and all of a sudden, like, just Tommy comes around. He's like,
my dad's super dead too.
My dad died 1.5 years ago, Tommy. The coins, we didn't invest them. Had to use them to keep the boat afloat.
It's okay you didn't want to tell me about your dad. I know how it feels. It's a hard thing to say.
and he kind of has the same. It's basically he's
Aunt
Jules.
He's Aunt Jules because the
he's
ranch,
like, I actually don't even.
The boat is his ranch.
Yeah, he's like, I just stick around because it's what my dead relative did. It's like, it's not even me, but I can't let it go, and it's financially ruining me.
We'll wait till the end, but the end.
Dude, I'm telling you, I was watching. I was like, Michael, you son of a bitch!
It's just Escape from LA all over again. Speaking of dead dads, before they separate, Tommy does hit Michael with a dead dadism because Michael's like blaming everybody and nothing's ever his fault. And Tommy's like, nothing ever gets accomplished if you just are blaming people, something like that. And then Michael's like, who told you that? Jake? He's like behind him scowling like, no, my dad. And then Michael's like, ooh.
Just keeps beating that dead dad horse. So,
and then to make Michael even a bigger piece of shit, so he gets hit with the dead dadism about how you shouldn't blame anybody. And then when he goes off and storms off on his own, and then he falls into a muddy pit, he just sinks into this like 5-foot pit of muddy water. And then he goes off to the beach to rinse off. And then he literally yells out by himself,
Why'd you do this to me, Tommy?
Dude, you're treading on borderline sociopath.
Yeah, and he's hallucinating. He has this.
There's a weird model dream, like a supermodel comes and says,
like a mirage, and there's this like on-screen kiss. You're like,
what is going on? At this point, I said these movies are a case study about Michael. Like maybe he's like insane. He can hear horses. He's seeing visions.
Shutter Island
meets Black Beauty.
He's the crazy one, and they're trying to make him like...
Yeah, shutter jumping ship island. This is where I caught the next Jurassic Park reference. It's the emus when Michael like kind of flips the tropical leaf bush, and then the emo like kind of like leans in from behind the tree. It was kind of like a clever girl moment. They meet back up. Michael and Jake put aside their differences. So this is echoing the last movie where Tommy and Michael put aside their differences. It wasn't the fix, but it was a Band-Aid on the relationship. It's just an agreement at this point. The guitar riffs come back because the pirates are back. This is like day 6, and these pirates are still circling the island. It's like, dude, just give up. But they don't. And they see an aeroplane, a commercial airplane flying over, and they're like, we're saved. It's like, there's no way they can see you at all. So Michael...
Not just see you. Tommy's like screaming at it, and it's like, can't hear you. Can't hear
35,000 feet. What do you think you're doing? Stupid ass country boy. So Michael, this is kind of like a treehouse moment. He thinks he's doing something super good and helpful, and he shoots off a flare and hoping that the airplane will see it and they'll send a rescue team.
Just
But
alerts the pirates.
Jake knows it's going to completely backfire and says, you're just going to notify the pirates where we are.
Jake yells at him about this whole, you've never worked for anything in your life. So Jake is just Twister in this movie. You've never worked for anything in your life. Tell me you've ever worked for something. And then Michael hits him with this bitch, like spoiled brat thing where he's like, I haven't. Is that what you want me to say? I'm not lucky enough to have found something I love to do like you guys. It's like, wake up at 4 o'clock and work on a ranch and man your dead dad's rusted out fishing boat. Like, you're the lucky ones. Like, what is this sympathy card you're coming from?
I never knew what I was good at.
Yeah, it's like,
I don't know. So this whole time they're trying to build a raft and get off this island. And now they may be screwed because now they know that the pirates could possibly know their location.
that's not going to stop them from attempting the raft escape.
No. So they do see the pirates. They do board the island and they decide they need to book it. They're like, we got to get off this island. Let's get on the raft. We out of here.
Raft beats motorized aquatic vehicle.
All day.
We can out raft them.
I mean, their jalopy boat couldn't outrun the inflatable. So, of course, their raft made of trees and clothes.
Oh, the pirates also have their inflatable back. We don't know how it got fixed, but it's fixed.
They get on the raft and the pirates obviously roll up on them. So at an hour, 11 minutes and 22 seconds, they do the thing again. They jump ship again. They jump raft. And there's these underwater lobster caves that they've been hunting lobsters in. So it's like a air pocket down there. They can go down and breathe underneath there.
Yeah,
I don't know about
like,
the exact science about that, but I'll just accept it. What I won't accept is the fucking life vest not coming off for Tommy.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, why are they separating? Because the life vest won't come off. But I was like, oh, they need to like dive underneath. Probably be like very difficult to free dive from a standing start with a life vest on when you're trying to go
near impossible
50 feet underneath the water. So Tommy gets taken by the pirates, but he's not.
And they're like, we'll come back for you. It's like, okay, you're leaving them in the hands of murderous pirates, but okay. Michael and Jake have to reconcile their differences and come up with a scheme to get Tommy back. There's this really weird scene, like just the most awkward thing I've ever seen. So at the beginning of the movie, when Michael gets pickpocketed, he can't pay Jake the money for the charter. And so he's like, oh, yeah, when we get to shore, like I'll have the money wired. I'm good for it. And Jake's like, give me your watch. Michael's like, this watch could pay for your boat. I wonder if it's the watch his girlfriend gave him, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, from Horse Sense?
Yeah.
Oh, we'd have to go back and confirm that.
He's like, all right, so he gives him the watch on this beach scene when they're scheming to get Tommy back. Jake's like, oh, you can have the watch back, man.
You should take this back. I'm sorry. Keep it. No. I can't do that. I want you to have it. I don't know what to say. I don't need to say anything.
I want you to have it. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Like, what the hell was that?
Michael's trying to seduce. He's trying to seduce Jake now. He's always trying to bang.
Trying to get everybody.
He's trying to bang the Aunt Jules character of whatever movie he's in.
He's just attracted to it. He's just a psycho.
Yeah.
So Jake and Tommy end up outwitting the pirates by shanghaiing the boat. Michael basically calls them ashore to do this like Pirates of the Caribbean standoff. But like, I have something you want. I have this gold, right? This gold treasure coin that Jake had from his time with his dad.
Now, did you notice the CGI gold coin shimmer?
Yes, I did. Shing! I was like, oh boy.
It's like, wow, that was super added in.
It was super unnecessary. So while they're distracted with that, Jake goes out and frees Tommy. And Michael had told Jake, if anything happens to me, you get the boy out of here.
Well, he doesn't free Tommy. Tommy's let go on the beach. So
that's right. Tommy's let go.
He grabs Tommy down the beach, and then they tag team Shanghai the boat and beat up that dumb blonde guy.
Tommy takes a mop handle and hits the blonde guy so hard he does a backflip off of the boat.
So this was hilarious because during the 10 minutes that he was a hostage, they already put him to work. He was like mopping the boat. And then the blonde guy's like,
swab the deck, mateys. It's like, you're not real pirates.
He pulls him in. He's like, oi, you missed a piece of scum right there. And then before Tommy gets his revenge, he says, oh, gee, looks like I missed some scum. And then smacks him with the broom.
And I will say this, they manhandled Tommy for no reason. They're like grabbing him by his hair and like throwing him around. It's like, dude, he's 13.
They're pirates, dude.
They beat the shit out of the blonde guy and steal the boat.
Meanwhile, Michael is leading the very generic bad guy and the lady bad gal to this cave where he lies and says, we found all these gold coins. So instead of taking me for a ransom, I'll just show you where you can find all this gold. And that's like $15 million, bada bing, bada boom. And he leads them to this cave that they originally went into at the beginning of the movie. There was this whole thing, little island myth about cannibals and people that shrink heads. And they do find shrunken heads in this cave. So you're like, all right, maybe it's true. I was really hoping we were going to get cannibals. Unfortunately, we don't.
This is one of my nitpicks. Are there or are there not cannibals? Because half the people are like they're a myth. Other half people are like, no, they're still there. And we find remnants of cannibals, but like, what's the deal here? Also, cannibals aren't like shrinking heads. They're eating people.
Well, you got to shrink it to eat it. Like make it snack size.
Like jerky? They're just creating...
They're making jerky heads.
People jerky?
Jerk heads. Obviously, it's a trap. I forget how he kind of bamboozles them. Is it like...
They drop the shrunken skulls in front of them and they like freak out and fall off like this hole in the cave. And I'm like, that's so convenient. Like, they're just bamboozled by skulls.
Once again, Home Alone trap to just kind of scare the bad guys to go, whoa, and then they fall back.
It is worth mentioning the lead pirate, Frakes, does have a handgun this whole time. He is packing.
Is this the first Disney Channel original movie to feature a firearm? The first and only?
That's what I was wondering about. Like, why doesn't Captain Jake have a gun? And I'm like, oh, it's probably because it's a Disney movie.
Probably.
A Disney Channel original movie. So, like,
we're like thinking,
so there's
like
not going to be a gun.
Yo, why is Jake not packing heat, dude? And we're like, oh, the demo.
It's a DCOM.
Was like 10-year-olds.
But then the pirate like puts a gun into Michael's like neck when he's like threatening him, and I'm like, okay,
yeah. So this is the question.
For real.
I was like, is this the first gun that is in a DCOM movie?
I would say like first real gun. Yeah. When
I watched The Incredibles and there was a police chase with like these robbers and they pulled out machine guns, and I was like, wait, this is weird. This is like the first gun that's been in a Pixar movie. You know, it's like weird to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the first firearm ever in a DCOM movie.
But Michael's running, getting chased by the pirate, Frakes, and Frakes is choosing not to shoot at him from 20 feet away, but in fact chase him down a beach.
Well, I think he just wants to go to the original plan of kidnapping him for a ransom. Despite them saying that they were going to take a ransom and then still kill him, but they don't say we're going to kill you because it's a Disney movie. They say feed him to the sharks. They were going to kill him anyway, so I don't know why. Yeah, he could have just shot him and then said, hey, I have your son. Send me the money. And then he takes the money. He's like, never mind. Your son is super dead.
Yeah, these pirates can't figure it out because they also stole the wallet, so they have his credit cards. And at some point, they have this laptop open. They're like, oh, what's the credit limit on those cards? It's like unlimited.
Let's not get bogged down in credit scores.
Michael's running along the shore. He sees the boat with Jake and Tommy. Jake's like, head up to the mountain up there. Like, head up there. So basically, he's going to head up to the top and then jump into the water. Michael avoids this quicksand mud pit that he fell into the first time.
The mud trap.
Frakes falls in. Michael jumps off the cliff into the water. Frakes pulls his gun to shoot him while he's in the water.
He was in the mud pit.
He pulls the trigger, and it's like this weak water stream that comes out. Like a dollar store super soaker. Just kind of like...
So, Nick,
this is not how it works.
Okay. Well, you're jumping ahead because I was going to say you have probably more experience with firearms than I do. My question when I saw this was, would a gun squirt mud like that?
No. There's no pressure. That's not how guns work. You don't pull the trigger and like release pressure.
It's an explosion.
Yeah, the hammer hits the primer on the back, which ignites the gunpowder, which propels the actual bullet.
Maybe this is hang with me here. Maybe this is a loony bin island, and Frakes is actually a mental patient, and he runs around with a squirt gun, and he thinks he's a pirate, and his pirate friends are imaginary.
It could be. I don't know, but all I know is like there's no pressure, so when you shoot, nothing would like water wouldn't shoot out of it.
I gotta call out a nice little trope right here. When the gun squirts mud and he sees his prize jackpot swimming away to safety, he gives us the old no. It's like, okay, generic bad guy says no while all is lost.
The big no scream. Yeah. But our crew, Michael, Jake, and Tommy, they return to port in the pirate boat. They end up telling, the port authority, hey, those pirates you're looking for, here's the island they're on. They're like, oh, good to know. I know exactly where that island is, even though you guys were stranded on it forever. It's like, we were looking for you forever. It's like, clearly not looking hard enough.
Oh, that island I know about? I didn't even think to look there.
Michael's dad is there, the new dad.
The recast
not our original actor. Yeah.
Calabar.
And, not Calabar. And Tommy's mom, Aunt Jules, is there. So they're like, oh, we were worried sick about you guys. It's like, sure. Yeah.
It's weird how they fly all the way out there.
Fly all the way out there, but rich dad can't charter a helicopter to go look around real quick. Didn't seem that far away.
Loser dad.
And then they're all out to lunch with Jake. And Michael shows up out of nowhere, and he tells Jake and Tommy that due to like asset forfeiture, that boat is just now theirs. It's just now their property. Like, oh, you stole the pirate's boat. It's your boat.
Well, it was going to go on to auction, and I think he found money from some. Oh, was it from a reward of like the pirates?
It could be.
That'd be weird. No,
like
I'm not going to.
They got the reward money.
I'm not going to go with that.
It was something like that. Like I used my portion of the reward money to buy it. It's like,
yeah. So, actually,
okay.
So earlier in the movie, when Jake gives Michael the whole "you've never worked for anything hard in your life," he explains how he knew that boat top to bottom. He worked on it with his dad. It was like their dream. Later on, he opens up and says, actually, it was my dad's dream. He's like,
I hate that boat.
He's like, I hated that boat. And then we're all like, oh, but I get it. I guess if that's the only thing you have and like you have to force that identity on yourself, then it's hilarious because it's exactly how Horse Sense ends, where the mom's like, I don't really want to do the ranch anymore. It's just a failing ranch. It's just my heart's not in it. I need to let go. Jake's like, the boat was never my dream. It feels good to scuttle it and let it go. And Michael's like, we got a boat. We bought a boat.
Get back in the saddle there, Chief. You're getting on the boat.
Okay. So this movie ends with yet another quick fix of buying the boat and declaring that they're all going to be in the charter business.
Michael tells his father that he's going to go ahead and accept that job of being a clerk at the law firm.
This confused me because he's like, we're all going to go into the charter business. And then his dad's like, does that mean you're moving to Australia? And he says, no, I want to get that firm job. So I'm like, wait, are you going into the charter business or are you going to work in the mailroom?
Yeah, well, it's also, he was talking about his dad wanted him to go into that job. He's like, no, Dad, I want to find something I love. Makes no mention of going into this line of work. And then at the end, he's like, I'm going to do it, Dad. I thought he was going to find something he wanted to do, not go work for his daddy. That's not hard work. At no point does Michael learn a lesson. Anyway, yeah, we'll get into that. But
Michael also gets this Tiffany 2 hat embroidered on the spot.
Yeah, he like pulls out this hat. It's like, we're calling it the Tiffany 2. And he pulls out this hat. I'm like, who did that? How long have you been here?
Yeah. Did you have like an extra 8 hours to commission this?
Just like, hey, that boat that you wanted to let go that reminds you of your super dead dad, I named this boat after that boat. So you are now tied to this boat again.
You didn't ask for a sequel for Horse Sense, and you also didn't ask for a sequel for this boat. So here's Tiffany 2, bitch.
Get wrecked.
And that is Jumping Ship.
That's
plot talk
Horse
for
Sense 2.
Horse Sense and Horse Sense 2, Jumping Ship. Okay, this is the part of the episode where we dive into or jump into nitpicks.
Nitpicks. So my nitpick with Horse Sense is I don't understand the name unless it actually is a sixth sense of talking to horses. And I thought that's where we were going at about an hour and 10 minutes in with 20 minutes left. I'm like, is he just going to have that's not crazy for a DCOM.
Oh, talking animals,
right? For a Disney Channel movie. Like that's right up their alley. So I'm like,
Dr.
hey,
Dolittle situation at that point.
Yeah, we have mermaids and we're talking to leprechauns. Like a kid learning to talk to horses and having a horse sense is not crazy, but that wasn't the case. So I don't know what just title wise.
It always just reminded me of like horse shit.
It sounds like an insult from like a country person. Boy, you got horse sense between your ears.
This movie was just plain horse sense, and that's all I gotta say about it.
It's like, I don't understand what's going on here. Anyway.
Yeah, nitpicks for Horse Sense. I get this is a technical one, but honestly, it's the pacing. Like, it really feels like there's a lot of build up to problems, and then the solution is hella quick in the last 5 minutes. Literally, you're thinking this movie's going to end on a sad note, and then it ends in a quick fix instantaneously. How about nitpicks for Jumping Ship?
Nitpicks.
Horse Sense 2, I should say.
That gun's bubbling out some water and glub, 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 glub the water. It's just not how it works. Also, the cannibals, are they real? Are they not? I thought they may have supposed to have played some bit of story. I actually had one more. The pirates, they're like looking for these kids for like 8 days.
They got to be losing money on this job.
Like the gas alone. And they're not very good pirates. Clearly there was a pretty hefty reward for them, and they just don't seem like very capable pirates.
Yeah, they seem like a startup pirate group. There's only 3 of them. I mean, that boat is nice.
Dude, ocean speedboats are no joke.
Maybe he's the Michael of Australia. Like, maybe Frakes. First of all, horrible name. But maybe Frakes was like a rich boy who wanted to go play pirate, and we never got to see behind the scenes. So maybe his dad bailed him out of jail after he got turned in.
The return of Frakes.
Which brings me to my next nitpick. Where's Horse Sense Jumping Ship 3 when they implement time travel?
Oh.
Jumping time
travel. I like that.
Jumping horse time sense travel.
The horse time continuum.
Yeah. I need a third movie. I need to see these characters ride this thing out. All right. Talking points. What do you have to say about, let's start out with Horse Sense.
Yeah. Everyone in this movie is awful.
Everyone?
Everyone. I think everyone's pretty bad. Minus Mule, the farmhand. He's all right. He's just doing his thing.
It's like the most neutral. Even Jules?
Even Jules. And let me tell you why.
Oh, no.
So first off, we have Michael's parents. Like I said earlier, enablers. Big time enablers. Better than the other parents we've seen, but big time enablers. Michael, just a piece of shit. Right? Quick fix, never learns a lesson. Little Tommy is a terror. He is just tormenting his cousin. I understand his cousin
Rightfully
neglected
so.
him. His cousin neglected him, but didn't try to physically harm him. He left him in the house to watch movies and eat snacks all day. Now Michael's out there, and you're putting him out there with a cattle. He gets thrown around like near a bull. He's like, he almost gets stampeded over. He's like, go watch for wolves. Like this guy's in danger at this point in the game. Like the punishment does not fit the crime.
They're just
in my
different
opinion.
in Montana, you know?
Yeah. Twister is
borderline
carrying out the desires.
Murderer. He's got skeletons in the closet. Check his crawl
He's
space.
carrying out the desires of an 11-year-old boy to torment a 20-year-old kid. So he's bad. Jules, I didn't really realize this until the scene with the treehouse, but your son needs therapy. Your son is struggling. Also, your kid's not apparently like not going to school. He needs to be schooled. You're making your 11-year-old.
This is the summer.
It's okay. But your 11-year-old son is like your best worker. Like you're stealing his childhood away because your husband died. He's clearly struggling with it. He has a freaking meltdown over a treehouse. You do nothing. You do not console him. You're just like, like somebody needs to do something. And then Michael's girlfriend, awful. Girlfriend's family, terrible people. And the only person who really does anything right is dead dad. And nobody gets better. That's the thing too. Like nobody really realizes their flaws.
Well, Michael does, but that's until you get to jumping ship.
Does he?
Like he reverted.
He's still a dick. He's just nice to his cousin.
It's progress.
That's the only improvement.
It's some sort of progress. Let me bring up a talking point I have, and that is the theme of the quick fix. This whole movie, in Horse Sense, they kept preaching like you can't fix every problem with a quick fix. You can't talk yourself out of this one, Michael. You got to work hard. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then the movie literally ends on a quick fix. And I think this is a major crutch in the movie.
It's so bad.
What they could have done is maybe sneakily had that paper, almost like a big fat liar situation. You know, like he fails and he may possibly have to go to summer school, or maybe he has to do summer school online or like from a distance because he's been sentenced to this farmhand job. So like in the background, maybe they could have had it like, oh, you got to work on your paper, like you got to work on your real estate paper, or like try to make it kind of subtle and secret.
He's studying.
Yeah, trying to make it subtle and secret so that we know that's brewing up in the background. And then we actually see him kind of learn more and more about the rules. Maybe that becomes like his entertainment for being in Montana. You know, he kind of like said, they could have had a scene where it's like, we're unplugging the TV and like, we're just going to work hard and you can read books or something like that. And then he's like shown studying in the background. And then you can kind of tie it into that, because that solution at the end came out of nowhere.
Because he's a terrible student. He's an idiot.
He's like, wait a minute. I remember this one random thing from this paper that I allegedly didn't do correctly because I got a D on it.
Yeah, I thought that was garbage as well. Also, whoever Jules is consulting in the foreclosure of her ranch, you're telling me this, the one city boy who knows nothing about land trusts. You're telling me there's no one in the state of Montana who's like, hey guys, like check out this land trust thing.
That's just the education system in a small town in Montana, I guess.
And the banker's like, oh, I guarantee you that Montana small town banker is 5,000 times smarter than Michael Woods is. Guaranteed.
Let's get on to talking points for Jumping Ship, Horse Sense 2.
Yeah, I'll kick us off here as well. What the fuck did Michael learn in the first movie? And did he learn anything this time?
Well, if history repeats itself, then no. Because at the end of the first movie, you're thinking, okay, that was a little rushed. You know, he learned to be a little bit more considerate and conscientious of other people's feelings and getting a general understanding of honest hard work. Does he apply it? Minimally in the movie. And it's up to him to keep that train going beyond Horse Sense Part 1. So at the end of Horse Sense, you're thinking, okay, maybe he learned something. First 10 minutes of Jumping Ship, you learn that he's learned diddly squat. So essentially, Jumping Ship is saying, throw Horse Sense away. Jumping Ship is here to stay.
Yeah, I think he regressed, because now he's a guy who's like maxing out his dad's credit card, and now he's not even in college anymore. When you're in college, you don't have a job. It's like, well, at least you're going to college. Now he just doesn't have a job. He's just a freeloader piece of shit maxing out his dad's credit cards. He's worse than the first movie. If anything, I don't think he's more considerate of people's feelings. He bought the dudes who wanted to let go of his dead dad's boat a new boat and named it the same thing. He's keeping these people trapped in this hellish cycle of their own life that they wanted to break out of.
Yet again,
he's a psychopath. Which
is why I call these two movies a case study of Michael Woods. So I just want to know, I have no idea how Jumping Ship got greenlit, but I have an idea. So Horse Sense, that's right up a DCOM idea alley. So that's like, hey, city boy, country cousin, throw them in each other's worlds, have them learn a valuable lesson and make it about family. Jumping Ship, completely random. I think the Lawrence brothers just got together and they said, hey, like we want to do an action movie and we want to make it go abroad to Australia. Because you'll see in the credits that Joey Lawrence was a producer on it. I don't know if he was executive, but he was a producer on the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that they're like, well, it'd be weird because, we just did Horse Sense. So do we just do a separate movie where you guys are also related? And then they're like, no, just make it the same characters. We go on vacation. There's guns, there's boat chases, there's action.
There's gun, singular.
I think how this movie came to be was that the Lawrence brothers were just like, hey, we want to all work together and make an action movie and just call it the sequel to Horse Sense.
The sequel to Horse Sense.
Pirates.
Yeah, that makes about sense to me. That's pretty much what my...
Makes about Horse Sense to you.
It can go no other way. So I'll go, and then I know you have one that I'm really excited to hear about.
Yeah, I don't really have it well thought out, but we'll see.
Well, we'll work it out together. So this goes, I had mentioned this before. I don't like the idea of just bringing in a brother that looks identical to one of the brothers and just not even acknowledging it. It's very Gyro Captain-esque from Mad Max, where you're just like, yeah, we understand how this looks, but you just don't even worry about it.
I think this can tie into what I just brought up about how this movie came to fruition. And I think it's because they wanted to make an action movie and they're like, but we also want Matthew to be part of it.
I guess it was written by the same brothers, Chad and Carrie Hayes.
I think it comes with the territory of how this movie possibly came to be.
The writers, because I was just looking at this, the writers, they're two brothers, Carrie Hayes and his brother, I think it was Charles Hayes. So they wrote both of these. And I was looking and I was like, well, come on, what else did they write? Recently, they have become prolific horror movie writers. So this may be like a Donnie Darko situation, because these brothers have now written House of Wax, The Reaping, The Conjuring 2, The Crucifixion, and The Turning. So they're just all in, they write in the screenplays for these horror movies.
So the cannibals and the shrinking heads are tied in. There is a horror
maybe
movie.
This movie was supposed to be darker.
Maybe this is connected to a larger universe and we have no idea.
That would be a twist.
Speaking of a larger universe, I got to get into my Jake Hunter theory. So
yes,
like I
please.
mentioned, in Horse Sense, Michael does walk by Matthew Lawrence at the airport in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And they do dress up Matthew Lawrence to kind of look like a cowboy type character. He's just wearing a cowboy hat. I can't remember if he has like a toothpick or a hay straw in his mouth, but when you see him pop up in Jumping Ship, you're like, is this the same character? Is Jake Hunter the same character that was in Horse Sense? Or was it Jack Hunter, who we of course all know, if you've ever watched Boy Meets World, Sean Hunter. So Sean's the best friend of Corey. He finds out he has a long lost brother named Jack. So immediately when they introduce Matthew Lawrence, who plays Jack Hunter on Boy Meets World, as Jake Hunter in Jumping Ship, immediately I'm like, Chet Hunter is at it again. He is pulling a Nick Cannon. He has kids all over the world. And I think that Jake and Jack Hunter are identical twins who were separated at birth. Jake went on to have he got adopted. So his quote unquote father from Seattle is not his real father. His dead dad is not super dead. Well, if it's Chet Hunter, then he is, because Chet is super dead in Boy Meets World. I have a theory that the Jumping Ship Horse Sense universe is connected to Boy Meets World. At some truck stop on the side of the highway, Chet Hunter banged somebody and sprouted out twins, and they got separated at birth. Jack went to go live with Chet, his biological father, and Jake got separated at birth and got adopted in some nice family in Seattle. So I think they're brothers. Now the guy at the airport in Horse Sense could be Jake, could be Jack. Who knows? But that's my theory.
Okay.
Let's give our sarcastic selling points for Horse Sense. I will go first. I'm going to give you a Trading Spaces, but it features Beverly Hills versus the ranch. It's City Slickers versus country, and it's Trading Places. What do you got?
Pretty much what you said. A Trading Places movie with the Lawrence brothers. I just imagine all the executives for Disney were like, yeah, the Lawrence brothers are just hot right now. Like, just fire them up.
I can give you my sarcastic selling point for Jumping Ship. This is essentially a Hollywood action tropical island and pirate movie with literal Disney Channel original movie production value.
I basically said what you had said previously. Hey, the Lawrence brothers are back, but they don't want to do the horse thing anymore.
Final review. Fight!
All right, well, getting into what the other guys are saying, I will reveal the scores for Horse Sense. And shockingly, it doesn't have a lot of reviews. The only reviews it has is from the fans. One's from Rotten Tomatoes. They're coming in at a 58%. And the other one's from IMDb. It's a 6.1 out of 10. So let's start out with Horse Sense here. So let me hit you with my laughable logline, followed by my popcorn points and my general thoughts on the movie. A dickhead city slicker neglects the crap out of his wholesome country kid cousin to the point where he is sent to work on his aunt's financially failing ranch to hopefully learn a valuable lesson in being a decent human being. This falls in the range of pre-popped store-bought corn for me, friend. Let me look at the chart here. Let's see what we got going on. So Cutthroat Island, I gave a 5.5. Kroll, I gave a 5.6. I'm going to give this it's going to get a 5.4. The substance is pretty light. A lot of filler going on. It does have, the heart's there. I know they had good intentions with it, but bad pacing, not the best execution, a little hokey, but this is still just play it. So I know you're a Disney Channel original movie. I know you're made for TV, but you're coming in the ring with the big boys.
That's the hard part.
This is a level playing field, so just kind of falls flat a little bit.
It just exists.
I got what I paid for, which was nothing.
That's a good way to look at it. So my log line is a cast of degenerate characters all act terribly and blame each other for their own problems in Montana. 3 even.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I gave my nitpicks earlier. I don't find there to be a lot of good characters in this film. Nobody progresses. Tommy's not a better kid. Michael's not a better person. It's just not very good, honestly. Also, like you said, the lessons, the quick fixes, like, if you are a kid's movie, maybe put a message in your film. There was no message. The quick fix of, oh, I remember this land trust thing. Wasn't quite a twist at the end, but when the solution at the end, I had no way to know what was coming. It bothers me. Just some random, oh yeah, the land trust thing. It was never brought up in the movie at any point in the game. And then in the last 5 minutes, you're like, here's this totally unrelated solution that no one has ever heard of up until this point. Don't like that device. Just a 3. Just an empty bag of corn or bag of kernels.
I hate to see it.
You do.
You know, since I did surprise you with a double feature this week, I will go again and reveal my popcorn points for Jumping Ship, the sequel.
All right.
Here's my log line. A dickhead city slicker brings his wholesome country kid cousin on a private charter boat trip in Australia, which leads them to being hunted down by 3 lame pirates on a deserted island. 4.6 popcorn points. Yeah, this one gets deduced points. It's almost the same movie. They did dress it up differently in a tropical island setting, but nothing really was added. This really seemed like it was more so just a generic action film that the Lawrence brothers wanted to make, and they wanted to add in Matthew and just have fun in Australia and get a paid trip to go out there and film. And yeah, I don't really think it adds anything. If anything, it regresses from the progress of Horse Sense. Like I said, you're kind of throwing Horse Sense in the garbage at a certain point. And you're saying, hey, we're starting fresh, but we're going to backhand it across the face and say, this is still Michael Woods and Tommy Biggs, except they just kind of hit another low point and don't apply any of the lessons they learned in the prior movie to this movie. It's really just kind of like lame, watered down action. And it makes it doesn't build upon the original movie at all. It gets less points than Horse Sense because I think Horse Sense at least was trying to give us something heartwarming. I think it did have a little bit of heart in it. This one, I would call it a cash grab, but there's no box office to grab cash.
Yeah, it almost feels like Disney Channel, right? You have to put out X amount of original movies a year, and so there's just this gap, and they were like, I don't know, throw something
Screw
together.
it. We got to fill this date.
Call the Lawrence brothers.
What do you got? Pirates.
Yeah.
Hit me.
So for me, I said Michael is back and forgot all of his Montana lessons, and his fatal flaws almost get everyone murdered. 2.9.
Oh,
So it's just right below Horse Sense. I think watching these back to back hurts these films because I found Michael annoying in Horse Sense, and in Jumping Ship, he's just worse. It's like, how'd you get this much more annoying and this much worse? Like, there's a part where he's on the boat, on Jake's boat, and he looks at him. He's like, "You got any Pellegrinos?" And Jake's like, "What is that?"
I'm gonna go get a vitamin water. Should I make that dose?
Like, there's just certain things like that happen. He still has his blow up moments at Tommy. It's like, okay, you're still a jerk. You're just even more entitled now. It just, like you said, all the characters are now worse at what they do. Tommy wasn't very good either. He's just a follower. He'll take the first strong male presence in his life because of his dead dad. So he's not very helpful. And Jake's just wallowing around being a boat guy. I don't know. It was just bad. It was an empty bag for me. 2.9, and honestly, that's generous. That's just because of where I have, movies like Pluto Nash on the list. So and you just can't go below that.
It sucks
that's that's a floor you can't go under.
And I thought, you know what? No, I'm not going to have these other movies that I pigeonholed myself, like force me to rate this higher than it should be. So I'm kind of putting my foot down, and I'm saying like, no, you're going to go below this movie. As just a little sneak peek for our final episode of the year, we will have re-rankings. We will allow ourselves, how many you want to do? Do you want to do 2 re-rankings?
I think 5. Let's go
5.
Let's make it a whole episode, man. End of the year bash.
5 re-ranks allowed? I was going to say like 1 per season.
No. Maybe 2 per season.
How about 3?
2 per season leaves us at 4. I can live with that.
Okay. All right. This will shake up our top movie list if we allow 4 re-rankings.
You better believe it will.
That's a conversation for another day down the line when we time jump into the future in Horse Sense 3, The Time Heist.
The horsening.
Well, that was quite the treat to start out this Disney Channel original movie. And this will be a tradition, by the way. So every fucking call it Labor Day weekend or something, whenever D23 this time of the year comes around, summertime, we'll be spinning the Disney Channel original movie wheel. And hopefully next year we land on Brink.
We can only hope.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Please follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Just Play It Podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Just Play It Pod. And we'll see you here next week when we will be talking about the country.
A topic.
Drop a hint. Drop a hint.
If I had to give you a hint, I'd say that there are a very old country who has a lot of influence in Hollywood.
You heard it first. Next week is a special. Please tune in. It's going to be a hot one. I know Nick has hella opinions about this topic. So we will see you next week. In the meantime, we're heading gone. Thank you for listening. And remember, throw the horse off the boat if the ranch ain't working. Because at the end of the day, the boat's not worth it. And it was never my dream.
Let it go. Sink the boat. Kill the horse. Give yourself that freedom.
And invest in a gun. Bam, 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 bam.
I just drew the Mickey Mouse head with my wand.